Hey guys, wanted to do another swing analysis here of this week's winner. Patrick Reed, obviously here with the Masters win. Kind of a ridiculous comeback by Jordan Spieth, and it was cool to see a lot of the top players in the world. Ricky Fowler, Rory was right there, DJ, John Rahm, and all them making a comeback towards the end. But Patrick Reed was solid, man. He was good. Obviously, he's come up big in the Ryder Cup, and he was solid here. So I just pulled up two swings. Thought it'd be cool to take a look, and he's got some, a lot of good things in there that a lot of the typical good players have, but he's got some things that are a little bit unique. Obviously, on the left here, the camera angle's a little bit forward, so it's a little bit different, but we can still see some unique things that he does. Now, he's typically pretty much primarily a drawer of the golf ball. You saw he had that kind of helicopter looking finish thing this week to hit some fades in there, and a lot of good stuff here, but some unique things. So from face on, the driver swing, a lot of really traditional pieces. You got a really neutral grip. Again, because the camera angle is a little forward, it makes the ball position look a little farther back than normal, but that's all pretty normal. As he starts to go up to his takeaway up to the top of his backswing, again, everything fairly neutral from this side. What we'll see from the other angle is he does have a little bit more of an open club face with a little bit of cup in that lead wrist compared to what the average tour player would have. But everything else there looks pretty normal. That lead knee works in a little bit. Heel comes up, gets into that right hip there nicely. Big hip turn, awesome shoulder turn. Nothing real crazy there. One thing that starts to get a little bit unique for him into his follow through. There's two pieces. His footwork is really unique. So if we pull him back to here, keep an eye on his right foot first, and then we'll look at his left foot. But watch how he really keeps that right foot on the ground and banks it and rolls it, maybe longer than anyone that I've ever seen here. So a lot of players have the right foot still on the ground at this point. But typically once they start to get an impact, right, that right foot wants to start kind of coming up on the toes, and some people do it more than others, but look at him there, really banking the inside part of that right foot, still banking. It's almost, and he almost, when he comes during the downswing, a lot of the good players, their footwork, their right foot, if you can kind of imagine it, twists on the ground clockwise. So if you can imagine your foot's there, it'd almost be like your toes would be going from 12 o'clock to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, twisting that way. That's typically how your footwork would work, like on a pressure mat, but you can really see it here. Look at how much he rolls that. Keeps rolling. The foot's still on the ground there. Look at that. And his foot stays banked on the ground almost all the way. That's what really looks unique from that angle. I mean, I rarely see a good player with their foot still banking by the time their right arm is parallel to the ground in the follow-through. So that's super unique there. Obviously, because he does that, he doesn't have as much belt buckle or chest turn at this spot as some guys do. But look at how long that freaking right foot stays banked. So not until about now does it stand. It's still here, right? It's still that right toe, the toes on the right foot are still pointed out, even here, almost into a three-quarter finish position. And then he'll come up and out of it. So that's unique for him compared to what would be normal footwork, right? Would be something, obviously Adam Scott's hitting a wedge here, but it'll still apply. What would be normal footwork is it banks to there, banks, and then now he's gradually starting to come off that right foot. So look at the difference between where he is there and where he gets by right arm parallel. So you can see the difference in the right foot action. Obviously his still kind of really banking hard on that lead ankle, and then this is more typical for Adam Scott here, getting up on the toes. Now also if we look at him from the top, what's unique for him, and a lot of good players do it, there's a false sort of a fallacy that the left foot should stay planted during the downswing and follow through. Watch as he comes down, similar to a Bubba Watson. Left foot's planted, and then watch that thing airborne, backing away. So he actually lets that left foot go in the air and pulls back and out to continue that rotation there, and kind of clears out that lead hip, which we'll see from the other side. That's another unique. So very unique footwork for Patrick Reed there, a little bit different than normal, even though a lot of guys have that left foot that slides out. And then, he also is sort of on the way through, has that big quick rehinge that I always sort of notice. It looks like, from here into the finish, he's got that kind of quick rehinge. So kind of unique footwork from there, but everything else typically pretty much status quo. Let's pull up his other side here down the line. So a lot of this stuff is pretty normal too. His setup pieces are pretty stock. Most all the good players here having the butt of the club, if it went on forever, would go into the belt buckle. So that's all pretty normal. As he starts to go back, again, all pretty stock. The club head being slightly outside of the hands with the face being slightly tilted down would be normal for a good player with a neutral grip. As we get him up to the top to lead arm parallel, again, the camera angle is a little bit different, but shaft being a little bit more vertical here. If this is basically his foot line and his target line somewhere here, almost all of the good players, if you drew a line through their shaft here, would be somewhere between the ball target line over here and their foot line. So that's all pretty stock there. And like I said from the other side, the club face at the top for him gets a little bit more open, a little bit more pointed down compared to them. See there, he's pretty neutral. Once he gets to the top, he gets a little bit more toe down than the average guy. It's not a lot, right? We're not talking like it's way open, but he gets just a very little, what appears to be a very little extension or cup in that lead wrist at the top, and then that club face here, just pointed down a little bit here compared to normal. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Let's get him up to the top here. So another thing he does that's pretty common amongst a lot of the good players is, again, another thing that George Gankis points out is that right forearm being parallel to the spine angle and then allowing that to get back inside there. So even here, right, like that, his little transition move, that club face would be pointed or more open at this spot with a little bit of extension, that lead wrist, compared to a lot of normal, if you will, normal torpedo. So I'll pull another example up again. This will be just an iron, but just to kind of have a comparison, he sort of lays it down a little bit more than what would be stock, right? So you can see that relative to his wrist angles, his forearm rotations, that club face pointed there versus kind of normal Adam Scott hanging iron would be pointed more that way. So he, this is why when you watch him in the follow-through, it looks like he's got a lot of hand action, if you will, a lot of release to it, because he plays with the club face in a little bit more open position. It's not, see here too, right? Pretty neutral, not tilted down like a lot of modern players would have at this last parallel position. So if we pull in this, and then you'll see too, because that left leg kicks out, he kind of backs up and out of it there. You see that leg work out of it. It gets really deep with that left hip. So a lot of really neutral things. He set himself up here. You can see that got a lot of throw there, past impact, some people would say. But it works really good for him. You know, he has that interesting lead leg sort of kicking out. But it works. You know, he's got a draw pattern. He's working his way into the fades. Obviously, he just won the Masters, so that's awesome accomplishment for him. I mean, I would assume he's going to have quite a few major championships moving forward with his competitive nature and you know, his ability to really stay in the moment, hit clutch shots. And so a lot of really, really good mechanics there. A little bit of unique footwork from face on and down the line. Plays the draw pattern. I preach all the time how important it is to have predictability within your pattern. Especially a lot of you guys who are trying to lower your scores. Learn how to curve all the balls one way first, and then tighten the dispersion. Learn how to curve it both ways. But playing one predictable pattern. So that's what I would take out of this from his swing. Not a ton of different mechanical pieces. Again, obviously the footwork's a little bit different, but building in the one-way pattern. So kind of a cool little unique look, I think, at our 2018 Masters champion, Patrick Reed.